Welcome to the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast, a space where we break free from tradition, creating a wedding day totally authentic to you and your love story. I'm Abby, UK wedding planner and owner of Elegance Unlimited, here to help you plan a wedding day that feels uniquely yours. Join me for planning tips and advice, endless inspiration, and a pocket full of calm within the chaos that is wedding planning. Consider me a trusted friend, here to walk you through it all. From injecting fun splashes of personality into your day, to reinventing tradition completely, all whilst focused on building a day bespoke to your dreams and desires. I cannot wait to get started, so let's get planning. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are listening. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm so grateful to have you here. I did a natural good morning then because it's first thing and I'm recording the podcast. So I was like, good morning. But I'm very aware that you might be listening at any kind of time of day. I've heard from lovely listeners that have been listening like in the car or when they're driving home from work or when they're cooking dinner or cleaning the kitchen. And it's weird to me still that you were just listening to me whilst going about your day. But I guess that's the whole point of starting a podcast, really, isn't it? I need to just kind of get over myself there. But it's weird, but it's exciting and I'm grateful. So yeah, if you are listening for the first time today, if you are a well-seasoned listener that's listened to many episodes, however you are listening, I am very grateful. How are you all doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope the planning's going well. We are deep in summer wedding season, so I know many of you may be like right on the cusp of having your wedding. Maybe you're like a year out and your wedding is this time next year. Also exciting. Whatever the situation is, hope you're doing well. Hope the planning's going well. Hope you're finding this podcast useful. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Early podcast record for me today. I'm having such a productive week. It's unheard of. I mean, it's not unheard of because I'm by nature, a very organized person. I like to be busy and get things done. But lately things have just been a bit out of my normal routine and a few things have just been taking me that little bit longer to get done. But this week, God, your girl's on fire. Honestly, I'm up bright and early today doing a podcast record. It's warm already. It's so hot and I'm not enjoying that aspect of things, but everything else, great. Feeling productive. Working on some lovely weddings. I get to do this podcast. Life is good. I hope life's good for you too. But yeah, welcome back to the podcast. Episode 31 today. So grateful to get to keep doing this. Honestly, I cannot believe when I started this podcast, I was like, I really hope I can keep it going for like a long time, and I picture like when things get busy and when you run a business, it can be tough. But I was really hoping that I'd be able to keep it going for more than a few weeks and that I wouldn't then get too busy and things would fall off the wagon and everything else. Honestly, this little project of mine, this little podcast, it's the most dedicated I've ever been to anything. I love this podcast. I love giving it to you. I love providing you the information and the insight and all of the tips and inspo. And when you guys tell me how much it's helping you and how much you love it as well, honestly, it's just fuel to the fire to keep me going. So ever so grateful. I'm loving this. Today, speaking of my lovely listeners reaching out to me, today we have an episode that was requested by a listener who had some questions for me about guest outfits. So I said, yeah, sure. Gave her some advice in the DMs, but said, yes, absolutely. Let's do an episode on that as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about it today. We're talking about guest outfits and specifically, can you ask your guests to wear something specific? Can you tell them what to wear? Can you say, hey, please come to my wedding and please wear this or wear something along these lines, something of this color, something of this theme, of this style? Can you do that? And if you can, how do you go about it? So we're going to talk about it today. Let's do it. Before we get stuck straight on into things, if you're enjoying the podcast and you're not yet following or subscribed, if you haven't left us a review, please do it. It gives me so much more help on the back end of things than you could even imagine. And it really helps to boost things. So yeah, if you're enjoying it, make sure you give us a like and a follow. If you need anything else, as I say every single week, links to find me, for support from me, for finding me on social media, for joining our Facebook group or the newsletter for extra stuff is all in the show notes. So go and find that down there at your leisure, and we will get stuck straight into the good stuff. So guest outfits and how much, I don't want to say control, but how much influence you can have over that side of things is what we're going to be talking about today. We are going to be talking about guest outfits in general, what you can ask them to wear, what you might be wanting to do, and how you can approach that, how you can go about that process. So I guess the initial question, if it's not something you're initially wanting to do, you might be sat there thinking, why would you want to tell your guests what to wear? Why would you want to have that influence over what your guests are wearing? Why would that be a thing for you? There are many reasons, and we'll go through a few of them, but I don't think it's about control. I want to make that very clear. I don't think that any of you out there thinking, oh, we really want our guests to follow a color scheme, or we really want our guests to follow a certain style for their own outfits. I don't think it's about control. So don't sit there thinking, oh, is that too controlling? Is it too bossy? Are we going to be, no, I don't think it's about control. I think it's about the vibe. I think it's about the vibe of the day. And we've been talking about that a lot recently on the podcast. It's about the vibe of the day. It's about the atmosphere. It's about the way you want things to look. It's your wedding day at the end of the day. So I, just straight off the bat, before we dive deep into things, I don't think there's anything wrong with this request, personally. As a wedding planner, and outside of being a wedding planner, as someone that just loves a wedding and is an individual person myself outside of my whole personality as being a wedding planner, there's nothing wrong with it. I would not be angry at receiving a request like this, to a degree, as long as there's some flexibility there. I think the couple planning the wedding, it's their wedding day. They have every right to ask whatever they want to ask. Doing it and kind of executing that plan is another thing, but yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So we've touched on a couple of things there just briefly on why you might want to have some influence on what your guests wear on the wedding day. Aesthetic reasons is a really big thing for a lot of couples. Maybe you want your wedding to look a certain way. Maybe you're going for a real specific vibe and you want your guests who are going to be in all of the photos to match that vibe. Completely reasonable. For the vision, the vibe of the day, maybe you're going for something that you want to feel really vintage and like antique-y. So you tell your guests to wear something that makes them feel that way. Maybe you are wanting something really fun and summery. So you're saying no dark colors. We want bright colors. We want like summery vibes. We want that to bring the vibe. I've seen weddings where they've said, please wear pink. Like pink is actively encouraged, and everybody's come in all these different gorgeous shades of pink, bright pinks and pastel pinks and patterned flowery dresses with pink on. Even the men have gone for like pink ties or suits, and it's perfect. Okay. This is why I don't think there's anything wrong with it, because if the execution is done well, the vibes are immaculate. And I completely get it. I don't know personally, having not gone through that full process myself of planning a wedding for myself, I don't know what I'd do. I think it would depend on what the vibe is, but I don't know. If I wanted to go down that route, I wouldn't feel bad about doing that because it's my wedding day, So in the same sense for you guys, it's your choice. Another reason you might be wanting to have some influence on those guest outfits is for your venue, practicality. If you're thinking more logistical reasons, maybe you've got an outdoor wedding, maybe you're having a beach wedding, black tie, maybe you're going for something that just suits the space, or you're thinking practically for weather and things like that. A lot of your guests will use common sense when it comes to weather, but sometimes they just need a little nudge, particularly if you're having an unconventional outdoor wedding. People might be coming to a winter wedding expecting it to be inside, and you're saying, oh, actually, we're doing the ceremony outside. There's a beautiful covered space, but it's essentially outside, so you're going to need to wrap up warm. Yeah, maybe it's something like that. So situations like that is a little bit less of encouraging because you want them to do something, and more of just saying, this is actively going to benefit you and it's for your safety. Please wear something like this. So that's another reason. Cultural or religious reasons is another great example of why you might be asking your guests to wear something specific. Maybe you want covered shoulders. Maybe you want something that's color respective. That's not the right word. How am I not getting my words out today? It's because it's an early morning record. That's exactly what's happening. What I meant to say was you might want people to have their shoulders covered or their legs covered, like full length dresses, or you might be wanting specific colours. Maybe there's a like specific respectful colour for the culture that is expected to wear on a wedding day. It's not unreasonable to ask people to be wearing things in that instance. And I think that's absolutely fine. So I don't know too much, being completely transparent, about the ins and outs of lots of different cultures, particularly on wedding days. I think I know more about wedding days than other cultures in general, but it's something to bear in mind. But, particularly if you're having mixed cultures at a wedding, you're having your side and his side, and you're from different backgrounds and cultures, and you're kind of merging those together on the wedding day, you are going to have guests from both sides that expect different things. So if you have an expectation as a couple on how you're merging those things, let your guests know. That can be really important. A lot of people, particularly if you're from a cultural background and you've got friends that aren't, they might not know how they are supposed to dress on a wedding day, what they're expected to wear, that it is respectful to cover their shoulders and they shouldn't be wearing like strappy little dresses or things like that. Things like that sometimes don't assume that people know. It's important to be letting people know and making that really clear at the same time. And another reason could be your own personal comfort. So what I mean by personal comfort is, what are you comfortable with? What do you want your guests wearing? Are you not comfortable with them wearing white, which is a really kind of typical, popular one, I should say. It's really common. If you're wearing white, you don't want other people in white. You want to stand out as the only person in white. That's completely reasonable. And it's okay to tell your guests and just give them a reminder, because some people don't get it. Some people don't get it at all. It's okay to give them a reminder and just say, yeah, no white, please. Just me. Just me and my partner. Maybe you're both going for white. That's absolutely fine. On the same thread, where you have your bridal party and you have those in certain colours, it's also perfectly okay to ask people not to wear those colours, or to wear those colours, whatever side of things you want to go on, whether you want your guests to match your bridal party to some degree, or whether you're thinking, no, I want to have me and my partner, and I want to have my bridal party, my bridesmaids, my groomsmen, I want those in specific colours, and everyone else I want in something completely different, because I want us to stand out as our own little entity. That's also fine. And we will talk about this a little bit more later, because it kind of ties in with the request and the questions that I'd had from this listener. But yeah, we will go into that a little bit more. All of these are reasonable reasons. They are all valid. They all happen very regularly to many different couples. So you will not be the first person wanting to ask this of your guests if it's something that you're wanting to do. So the big question, can you ask your guests to wear something specific? Yes, you can. Yes, you can ask. But it's remembering that you have to be fair and respectful and ask them reasonable things. And also remembering that on the other side of things, your guests have free will. They don't have to say yes to what you're asking of them. I think that's the main thing to keep in mind here. Yes, it's your wedding day. Yes, you can make those requests. On the same thread, your guests can say, no, not for me, sorry. If it's something they're going to have to go and buy something new for, and they don't have the budget to do that, they're going to say, no, I'm not doing that, sorry. And if it's a deal breaker, perhaps they don't come. I don't know. I know instances where things like that have escalated and people then don't end up coming. And I suppose if it's that big of a deal to you that you absolutely cannot have anyone in white at your wedding, which is completely fair and respectful, as I've said, you could be turning people away if they've turned up in white. Have you not seen all of those videos or like TikToks or posts on social media where people are like, oh, it's okay, I'll be the person to pour red wine over the person that wears white to your wedding? Like, I don't think ethically I'm here to sit on the podcast and endorse that kind of behavior. I don't think that's the kind of position I should find myself in, but I can't stop you from doing what you're going to do. If that's how you want to handle the situation, that's how you're going to handle the situation, isn't it? It's not my place to encourage. I'll leave that there. So anyway, there are different levels of formality. So whenever you're planning a wedding and you're deciding on what the theme's going to be or how that's going to go, there are different levels of attire and different levels of formality that your guests could dress up in that match your kind of wedding vibe. You've got the classic black tie. This is very common. Black tie weddings are very big, very popular, and very kind of acknowledged in the wedding industry, I think. It's not too much of a request, I suppose. It's not so out there when somebody says, please, can you wear black tie? That's the theme, that's the vibe. You're just giving people this understanding of what they're expected to wear and what's expected of them on the day. This is what we're expecting you to wear. This is the vibe. You know, when you go anywhere, if you're going to a family event or you're going to a friend's thing, or maybe you're going somewhere you've not been before and you're all texting your friends like, so what are we wearing? What's the vibe? Who's the one that's going to be in jeans and a nice top and who's going all out in a dress and heels? We want to match the vibe together. We want to be on that same kind of level. Completely understandable. So you've got your black tie. You've also got the cocktail party vibes. That's a little bit more still dressy, but it's a little bit more fun, a little bit more, I don't want to say casual because it's, it's a different level. It's a different vibe. You could be going for that kind of relaxed boho chic with super casual, super rustic, just wear something casual, nice floaty summer dresses, that kind of vibe. Garden party, it's formal, but it's got a certain vibe to it. It expects a certain kind of attire. What else? Beach weddings, that kind of thing. I'm trying to think of all the different kinds of weddings where you could be like, this is what we're going for, and you match that vibe. You wouldn't be wearing your black tie formal gown to a beach wedding, right? So when you set your vibe and you set your tone for the day, there is a certain expectation there anyway that your guests will likely just understand. They'll be like, well, obviously I'm not going to wear this ball gown to the beach because it's not the vibe. They'll be wearing something more beach appropriate. But there are other levels where you can influence that, particularly when you're asking about color palettes. And this is one of the big things I wanted to talk about today because it's becoming a bigger and bigger thing for couples to say, please wear something from this color palette to our wedding. Please wear something along these vibes. These are the colors we're asking you to wear. It's becoming a big thing. And I think it's reasonable to a degree. There are caveats to that, which I will talk about, but I don't see that being a huge issue. I think it's reasonable. I think a lot of people do it. I think your guests find it fun because you know everyone's going to be in something similar and the vibes are going to be really, high end, really up there. So yeah, I think that's a nice idea. Honestly, I love it. I love it. I love the idea of color palettes. I think it's inclusive, but it also offers structure. Okay. And if you do it properly, if you do it well, it can be a really nice vibe. Like I mentioned about the pink wedding type thing, they didn't just come in and say, please wear bright pink. Because there's going to be a lot of your guests that say, I don't like wearing bright pink. I don't wear bright colors. It doesn't suit my skin tone, or I don't have anything in that kind of color. But if you're saying to them, pink is encouraged, any shade, any style, right? That leaves it open to interpretation. It leaves it open for a lot more flexibility so that someone that's never going to wear a bright pink dress in their life can turn around and say, oh, I've got this really nice pastel pink dress with like some flowers on it. That would fit the vibe perfectly. And I don't have to buy something new and I can rewear it again. Perfect. You're giving people an option. You're giving people a range. Whether you're doing a summer wedding and you can say, we'd like oranges and pinks and yellows, please. Something along those lines. Perfect. You'll typically still get the men in suits with like a yellow tie or like the pink pocket square or something like that. That's okay. You can't really, unless you're offering some kind of demand, expect people to go, everybody's in pink suits and pink dresses. It's a lot to ask of people, right? But this is why you give people a range. And that's when I think it's completely fair to ask, because you are giving people not a single color that people might not be comfortable in. You're giving them a range of shades and colors that says, choose from this. If you are wearing white and your partner's wearing whatever they're wearing, if you're going typical male, female wedding, then you could be in that. Your guests could be in something else entirely, and your wedding party, you might want to be in something else as well. So this is where it can be really helpful. If you've got a specific vision in mind, I think it can be really a nice idea. You can use your invitations, you can use your wedding website to share this information with people. So you can just tell them, please wear something pink, please wear something black tie, please wear something beach appropriate. Or you can be using visuals as well. Visuals help people sometimes. I like to assume that guests aren't you always using their common sense. If you're really super clear that says, this is what we're expected to wear, but sometimes people will still sit there and be like, what do you mean? Is this pink enough? Does this fit the vibe? What are we expecting? Give them some visual aids. If you're having a wedding website, pop some pictures up there. That can be helpful if you think your guests might struggle. The color palettes can be really nice where people are choosing like 4 or 5 colors that says, these are what we'd love you to wear for our wedding day. And it's like a blue and like a sage green or like a dark green and, whatever matches your wedding and your vibe. And they're putting little circles of color on the invitations or on the wedding website for guests to see and be like, okay, That's the vibe. I'll wear something to match that. I think that's a really nice idea. I do. I like that idea. I like making things clear for guests. I don't like leaving anything up to interpretation. I don't like leaving anything up to assuming that it's something when it's not. And again, this isn't important to everyone, right? I've got couples that just say, we're just telling people it's black tie and leaving it at that. Or we're just telling people we want them to wear something summery, summer colours, pinks and oranges or blues, and we're going to leave it at that. That's fine. We're happy with that. Absolutely fine. Other people that really want to go all out there and just be like, I just want to make it super, super clear. And because it's fun for me as well, and it matches our vibe, it matches the style of things that we're going for designing with our website and our invitations and everything else. I want visual aids. I want to make it clear for them. Some people will put like swatches of the colours physically into their, like, attached to their invitations, and do like, these are the kind of colors we want you to wear, have a flip through. And it's like, you know, like those fabric, like sofa samples or like dress samples, it's those, but in the colors that you want them to wear. That can be fun. It's extra work, it's extra effort. But if you're stationary and your guest experience is a really, really important thing to you for your journey, for your wedding planning process, then great idea, do that. I think that's a nice idea. There's options, okay? And it doesn't have to be, we just tell our guests this is what we want them to wear and it's done. You can still make it fun. You can still make it feel like you're bringing out your story and your personality through that. And I think that's a really nice thing. You can be phrasing things in an appropriate way on your invitations as well. It's, you know, unless you are demanding, and I wouldn't recommend that, saying you have to wear this or you're not coming in. That's not the best way to go about it. It's not the nicest vibe. It doesn't make your guests feel good. But if you're putting on the invitations and you're saying, we would love you to wear something in this color palette, or we would love you to wear something in this style, you know, if you're feeling up for it, that encourages people. It gives them the option. And I think for me, if I was looking at that and thinking, well, they've put it on the invitations, they've said they'd love people to wear this color palette. If I don't wear this color palette, I'm now going to be the odd one out. So I would be actively being like, well, I'm going to anyway. Even though it's a suggestion, I'm still going to do it because I don't want to be the odd one out. I don't want to be the one that, you know, is standing out in all the pictures because I've gone for green and everyone else is in pink. Like, that's not going to be me. People will follow that to a degree. I think a lot of the time, if you're making that suggestion, people will, even if it's just a nod to the color palette or things like that. Like I said, with men and suits, they'll typically be wearing a suit they already have, or it'll be in a darker color. That's the typical kind of standard vibes, but they might go for a tie in the color that you've suggested. They might go for the pocket square. They might, you know, they might go for a shirt in that color that still goes with their suit. It's probably not going to be the full outfit head to toe in a specific color, but there's options there and they might be making nice nods to that. I think it's a nice touch to add on there something like, you know, this is our suggestion. We'd love you to wear something like this, but most importantly, please wear something that makes you feel comfortable, that makes you feel incredible. The last thing you want on the day is to have your guests hiding from pictures because they feel uncomfortable in what they feel like they've had to wear, or just looking uncomfortable in general in pictures because they're not comfortable with it. And it brings the vibe down, it brings the atmosphere down. That sometimes then it doesn't matter how hard you try to be like bringing the vibes, people aren't going to want to do it if they're in something they're not vibing with. A lot of the time, let me caveat this by saying a lot of the time it's not this deep, it's not this, you know, intense. Like, you just ask people to wear something, they'll probably do it. I'm just going to like the very ends of what could happen and how your guests might react. I don't think it's that stressful. I don't think you need to worry about it too deeply. But yeah, I completely get that sometimes you've got a vision and you want people to follow that, and it can become a really kind of point of stress for you when you're worrying. Like, you're not going to know until the day what people turn up wearing, you know? So I do get it. I do. Quickly talking about white on a wedding day as well. Let's talk about white. Why don't we want people wearing white on our wedding day? It's typically, as a standard wedding, if you're wearing white on your wedding day, you don't want to be, you know, a long line of other people wearing white on your wedding day. And that's absolutely fine. I've mentioned it a few times in episodes recently. I can't remember what we were talking about or how we got there, but talking about how sometimes people are flipping it the other way around and saying, please wear white to our wedding because we're wearing something else. I've got a bright pink, I don't know why pink's in my mind today. I'm wearing like a bright pink wedding dress, and my partner's wearing a black suit, or they're like, maybe you're both wearing fun dresses or things like that. And you say to your guests, please wear white because we want to stand out still. That's absolutely fine. Maybe you're flipping it on its head, but typically wearing white to a wedding is generally a no. Don't do it. Nothing of the sort. The amount of times I see people posting things that says, oh, I need your advice. Is this too white for a wedding? If you're asking, yes. If you're questioning it and you're thinking, oh, would she think that it's too white? They probably would. So don't risk it. If it's cream, if it's light, if it's a pale pink or a pale blue or a pale green that in a certain light looks white, don't do it. Always err on the side of caution and don't do it. They will tell you, if they're not telling you what they want you to wear specifically, use your best judgment. Go for something that's a more, I don't want to say statement of a color, but it's more obvious that it's pink. It's more obvious that it's green. There's a pattern on it that's, just use your common sense, Either way, if you are planning the wedding and you're doing the invites, letting people know what to wear, please tell people. It's okay to still tell people, please don't wear white. I think when we're coming into an age of less tradition, more kind of new and unique things, some of these older traditions are just kind of not being pushed out the way, but they're being a little bit less used, and maybe people are thinking that they're slightly less important, like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, like people don't do that anymore, you can wear white to weddings, it's not a big deal. Some people do assume that and do think that. So if it's important to you, still specify it. Please do not wear white. That's all it needs to be. You don't need to go into any more detail. Please avoid white or ivory or cream, whatever. Just align on your invitations, on your wedding website, whatever, however you're doing it, just put it on there, make it clear. Put it in bold if you need to. You can make it fun as well. Like you can be saying, unless you're the ones getting married, please let us just be the ones wearing white, kind of thing. You can make it fun, please no white. We don't want to have to kick you out. I don't know if you're putting emojis on your wedding website, but you could, laughing face, whatever works for you, right? Make it fun and make it feel less serious if you want to. Like, it's still serious. You still have to follow the rules, but I'm just telling you. I'm just joking, but I'm not joking, that kind of vibe. It's okay. Please don't wear white to the wedding because, we'll have to kick you out. But in reality, you've actually made a plan that says no one wearing white apart from me is coming in, even if it's my mum. Fair. I support it. Mums especially should know better. You should know better. Come on. It still happens and it baffles me, truly baffles me. But yeah, you're allowed to say that and it's perfectly okay. Now, I wanted to talk quickly a little bit about kind of tricky situations with your guests or with members of your family wanting to wear certain things and you're wanting something completely different. This ties in nicely to the question that I got from my lovely listener who was asking about how to address a situation, how to go about a situation when you want your bridal party to be wearing something really specific and there's someone else close to you in your family or friends that is saying, yeah, I want to match that. What are they wearing? I'm going to wear the same. And you're like, actually, I didn't want you wearing the same thing as them. I don't want you matching. Yeah. It's a great question and it happens more often than you think. The first thing I would ask you to think about is to ask why they're making this request. Why do they want to match the bridal party? Who are they? How close are they to you? And why might they want to match? Typically, it's because they want to feel included. They want to feel special. They want to be in their own little bubble and kind of selfish way, and it's not a bad thing, but in their own way on the wedding day, they want to be noticed as someone that's important to you. They want to be part of that inner circle, right? That's completely understandable. But understanding that can help you to navigate the situation by understanding what it is they want from the situation and helping them to maybe feel that in a different way. If it's because they want to feel included, so they want to wear the same thing as everyone else, there are different ways to navigate that. But I think the main thing that you want to be doing with whatever decision you decide, whether you're deciding, okay, I'm going to decide, yeah, they can wear the same thing as the same color. They can wear the blue that all the bridesmaids are wearing, fine, something to match. Not the same dress, but same color, fine. Or whether you're saying, no, I really don't want them in the same thing. I just want them in something different. I want my bridal party as my bridal party. I want the symmetry there. I want everything to look how I want it to look. I'm going to hold a boundary in place there. It's okay. Either way you go, you just want to have a kind and a clear conversation. And being clear here and not having any of that miscommunication is going to be really important. If you want to hold those boundaries in place, hold the boundaries in place. Like I've said all the time, you can hold a boundary in place and still be kind with it. It's perfectly doable. It's perfectly normal. You can say, this is what we're doing. I'm really sorry. You don't have to always give in to what people are asking of you. I know it's really tough. especially to my fellow people pleasers out there. It's really difficult, but we can get through it. We can do it. We don't have to give in, and we can hold our boundaries in place. My suggestion here for something like this, if you're going through something similar, would be to offer the alternatives and decide what your okay alternative is, what you're happy with. Is there a similar shade that you could suggest to them they could wear that's not exactly the same as your bridal party? Is there something that complements it but there's a different style that you could get them to wear? Are there different accessories that you could offer them to wear that make them, essentially what I would be suggesting you do is make them feel included if that's what they want to do. If they want to feel important, if they want to feel part of that process, you can completely do that without them wearing the same thing. You can sit them down and say, hey, we're actually just going to have our bridal party in those specific colors. And I really appreciate that you wanted to wear the same. And I think that's really lovely. And I'm so glad that you want to feel a part of our day. But I was actually hoping that we could, maybe spend some time together and find you something that's in a different color, but that feels really special. I'd love to help you pick out something that's, that suits you and that makes you feel really special on the day in your own way, Something like that is perfectly reasonable and perfectly okay to say. Make them feel included. You can say, really sorry, we're just having our bridal party in the blue. We want everything to feel symmetrical. That's just our vision. Hope you understand. But how can I help you to find your perfect outfit for the day? If they are pushing and pushing and pushing back, it's really tough, isn't it? Because if it's someone that's really close to you as well, like a cousin, or like if it is your mum or your mother-in-law or an auntie or like your grandma or something, like you want them to feel included. Of course you do. But if they're just not getting the fact that you're like, listen, no, like validate their feelings, but hold that boundary and say, I love you and I would love you to stand out on the day in your own way, but we are not wanting that to blend into the official wedding party. Like it's just bridesmaids and just groomsmen. Those are the only people that we want in this specific color, in this specific shade of teal or this specific shade of lavender, whatever it might be. Hold your boundary. It's okay to do that. I think we'd need another episode and another set of tips on how to handle that if they were just pushing and would not let it go. And they, like, if they go out and buy the dress anyway and they're like, this is what I'm wearing, sorry, it's the same. Do you know what I'd be doing? This is so petty. But I'd be like, oh, that's great. Fine, you can match everyone, sure. And then I would just change the colour scheme. Just not tell anyone. And then they'd turn up on the day and I'd be like, surprise. It's petty. Yeah, that's what I'll probably do, to be perfectly honest with you. If you really, really, really couldn't get through, I don't recommend doing that. And that's not what I'm suggesting to anyone. Just the petty side of me would be like, fine, wear what you want to wear. I can't stop you. You've bought the dress now, but it's wound me up. So everything's changing. The whole vision's changed. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. There's other ways around it. Speak kindly, speak clear, communicate. You will get your point across. I'm sure of it. Now, there are a few things I would suggest when it comes to navigating this process and asking people to wear something specific. Firstly, I would not be dictating every single detail. Like I said, give people options, give people a range, give people a guideline for this is the vibe, this is the style, these are the colors, this is the range we're recommending. Don't tell people you have to wear this. You have to wear a floor length black dress that looks like this, nothing else on it. Don't tell people you have to wear this shade of pink, you have to wear this shade of blue, you cannot wear anything else. Give people options, okay? Even if you're saying everyone has to wear black, let them choose what they wear within that. Like, that's enough. That's restrictive enough for people. Give them the options, Your guests also want to feel like themselves. You also want your guests to have a good time. I don't think, although it's your wedding day and it's all about you and it should be, I don't think that saying, well, I don't care what my guests think, they just have to wear what they want and whatever, is a good way to go about it, because they're not going to have a good time and they're going to bring your whole vibe down. They're going to bring the energy down on the day. It's going to be miserable vibes. And then you're going to be like, well, my guests were rubbish on the day. You couldn't even celebrate us. That's because you made them feel like crap before they even turned up. Okay? Don't do that. Give them the options, make them feel like they want to be there, include them in their own way, and everything will be fine. Secondly, that kind of ties on from this, don't shame or embarrass anyone for not following your requests or for not wearing what you want them to wear. Some people just truly are only comfortable in certain things, and the last thing you want is to be inducing anxiety or stress onto people that are coming to your wedding day because you've asked them to wear something specific and they felt so stressed and they didn't go for that. They went for something completely different, then you've made them feel bad about it on the day. Don't do that. Don't be that person. It's here now. They're there. The wedding day is here and there. They are not going to be in every single picture. It's not a big deal. just let them do their thing. Okay. Do not make them feel like that makes you a really crappy person to be doing that to someone. Like, sometimes it's really tough to decide what you're going to feel comfortable in and what you want to wear. So if they don't follow it exactly, or, you know, they've tried but kind of missed the mark, don't make anyone feel bad. And again, following on from that, don't make assumptions. Don't assume that somebody has actively gone against your request to wear something specific in pink, when the real fact of it was that they couldn't afford to get something new, or they wanted to wear something that actually made them feel really comfortable. Maybe they had intentions, they'd bought something new and wanted to wear it on the day, but actually on the day they just couldn't wear it. It wasn't comfortable, it wasn't fitting right, they wasn't sitting right, they couldn't do it. Don't make assumptions on that people have just done it to spite you or just to be difficult. Everyone has their own reasons. As I said literally 2 points ago, your guests deserve to be comfortable on the day. They deserve to be excited, included, and want to come. Otherwise, you're just going to end up damaging your relationships with these people, and it's not worth it for your wedding day. They're there to celebrate you at the end of the day. So I hope this has been helpful in some way. I hope it's got you thinking about whether you want to ask that of your guests, what your plan might be for that, how you would go about it. Yeah, just got you thinking about some things. And a reminder that you are allowed to care about how things look and how things feel on your wedding day. It's your wedding day. You're putting a lot of time and money and energy and effort into this process. I'm never going to tell you that it's, you know, you're not allowed to care about those things. Of course you're allowed to care about those things. But it's just about remembering that flexibility and the kindness go such a long way alongside that. The best guest is a happy and comfortable one. They bring up your vibes. They bring up the energy. So make them feel welcomed, make them feel included. Don't make people feel bad about things. And ultimately, I think it's better to have a few slightly off theme, off vibe outfits than to stress everybody out, make everybody feel like you're being complete bride and groomzillas, and that you don't really want anyone there, and it's going to be a horrible, stressful vibe, and it's going to be tense and uncomfy. Just go with the flow. I promise you as well, there are much more memorable things for you to worry about on the day. You will not remember things like that 5 years down the line. You will be looking back on the memories you made with your partner, your loved ones laughing and smiling together, and the music and having a nice time. Yes, this is still important. If it's important to you, it's important. As I always say, I'm not going to invalidate those things, but I think there are more important things that are going to build memories than everyone wearing the same shade of green. You know, just something to think about. So I think, yeah, I hope this has been helpful. We've talked a bit about how to navigate guest outfits and asking them what to wear. We've talked a bit about how to navigate those conversations with family dramas and things like that. If you have any other questions on this topic, let me know, because it was an interesting one to think about and to kind of navigate a process where I think this particular message that I got from this listener is one instance, right? It's one dilemma, for example, whereas there are countless other different scenarios that might be slightly different from their one, or something different entirely, where you're having different kind of guest dramas to do with guest outfits and wearing things. Every scenario is going to be slightly different. So, and my advice for each scenario would probably be a little bit different as well. So if you have other questions about this topic, or you have other dilemmas, or you have other dramas that you want to share or want to get advice on, let me know. We can always do another episode on it. We could do another 2 on it, another 3. I am here for you to make this podcast what you want it to be and what's going to be beneficial for you. So yeah, let me know. Hope it's been helpful. Good luck with your planning. And yeah, we'll leave that there for today. If you need anything else, if you want to come and join us on Instagram, TikTok, you can come join our private Facebook group where we have extra chats about the podcast topic each week. I always pop a little post in there, and if people want to share things or want to ask extra questions, you can do that. You can come and find me if you need help from a wedding planner. That's what I do day to day. That's my love. It's my life. So you can come reach out to me if you want a free consultation. Link is in the show notes as well. It's all down there. It's all down there in the show notes. Go and take a look. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will speak to you next week. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast. I hope you're feeling inspired and excited to create your dream wedding day and those lasting memories. Don't forget to hit that follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. I'll be back next Wednesday with more tips, advice, and inspiration. In the meantime, don't be a stranger. Come and find me on Instagram and TikTok at Your Wedding Unlimited, where I share even more wedding ideas and behind the scenes insights. You can also watch these episodes on YouTube at Your Wedding Unlimited. And if you're looking for even more support, come and join my private Facebook group, Your Wedding Unlimited. It's an amazing community of fun and authentic engaged couples, packed with extra tips, advice, and insights to guide you along your journey. If you have any questions or need more info, you can DM me or send me an email at yourweddingunlimitedpodcast@gmail.com. All links and details will be in the show notes. Until next time, happy planning!